Hello everyone, Luke Fordsmith here. Welcome back to another file reading. This time Resident Evil 4, released in 2005, I think it was, 2004, 2005. Basically the lowdown here is Leon S. Kennedy is now a special agent working for the president, and he has to go on a mission to rescue the president's daughter from Spanish people, a pack of Spanish cultists. So let's give it a read. This is the original Resident Evil 4, not the remake. The remake will be next. So, Playing Manual 1. Control configuration changes are not reflected here. Please pay careful attention to the button functions. 1. Shooting. Hold down the R1 button, then use the control stick to aim the laser sight. Combat knife. Press and hold the L1 button to ready your knife, and then press the X button to swing your weapon. This is obviously the PlayStation 2 version, because it was released for the GameCube first of all, and then they released it for other consoles, like every console ever. And press the X button to swing your weapon. Action button. You'll be able to perform various actions by pressing the appropriate buttons that appear on the screen. Camera. You can change the camera angle by using the right analog stick. You can't change it so it goes all the way around you. You can only make it go a few inches to the side. Info on I forgot to read where that was. It's in Leon's inventory when you start the game. Info on Ashley. Name: Ashley Graham. Age 20. Daughter of the United States President. It should have been President of the United States. She was kidnapped by an unidentified group while on her way home from university. The kidnappers' motives are still unknown, although there's reliable information that the perpetrator is an insider. Only a handful of people know about this kidnapping. It has been kept under wraps, mostly due to the fact that we can't determine who the traitor is. And more than likely you don't want to cause a panic, do you? The guys in intelligence say that they have a reliable information that Ashley's been sighted somewhere in Europe. But until we find out who the insider is, I don't know what to believe. It could be a ploy. We have very few leads as to the whereabouts of Ashley, but members of the Secret Service and anyone related to Ashley are being questioned by an investigative team. Even active agents are being investigated for any information. It is just a matter of time before the kidnapper is exposed. That's the thing, if something goes wrong in the president's family or the government and everything, you need to question every single person, even the cleaner in that specific area, because you do not know. You need to find out everything. And again, that's already in your inventory when you start the game. Plan Manual 2. Yeah, it's the same thing. Reloading. Press the square button or the circle button while holding down the R1 button to reload your firearm. Kicks. Approaching enemies that are either stunned or on their knees will allow Leon to perform kicks as prompted by the action button. Changing inventory screens. Use the L1 and R1 buttons to switch back and forth between weapon recovery and key treasure screens. And that was in Chapter 1.1. Pablo automatically required after your first contact with Hunnigan. Alert Order. Recently there has been information that a United States government agent is here investigating the village. Do not let this American agent get in contact with the prisoner. For those who are not yet informed, the prisoner is being held in an old house beyond the farm. We will transfer the prisoner to a more secure location in the valley when we are ready. The prisoner is to stay here until further notice. Meanwhile, do not let the American agent near the prisoner. We do not know how the American government found out about our village, but we are investigating. So they're investigating Leon, and Leon's investigating them. However, I feel that this intrusion at this particular time is not just a coincidence. I sense a third party other than the United States government is involved here. My fellow man, stay alert. Chief Boris Mendez. The village chief, and that was in chapter 1.1. Probably stuck to the wall inside one of the wooden huts. It's basically in the village when you get to the end of the village. About the blue medallions. 15 blue medallions. 7 in the farm, 8 in the cemetery. I think they spelt cemetery wrong. Or is that the right one? I don't know. For those who destroy 10 or more will be rewarded. The rest is eligible. Now it's in chapter 1.1. Farm, pinned to one of the trees near the entrance. Right, if you shoot down 10 and talk the merchant, you'll just get a punisher. However, if you shoot all 15, you'll get a punisher that has been upgraded to the past the first level. So you get an upgraded punisher. It is worth doing all 15. It's quite easy to do. The chief's note. As instructed by Lord Sadler, I have the agent in confinement alive. Why keep him alive? I do not fully understand what the Lord's intentions are. However, I would, think he'd like to keep them separate, not confine them together as he has ordered. I was talking about Leon and Luis. Luis was that prisoner in the earlier document. I do not expect Luis would trust a stranger, but if by chance they did cooperate, the situation would get a bit more complicated. If for some reason an unknown third party is involved, I don't think they'd let a chance like this slip by. But maybe it's all Lord Sadler's ploy, leaving us vulnerable so that this third party will suffice. If they even exist, that is. The third party, I believe, is Ada Wong. I'm pretty sure. It's an unlikely responsibility, but if a prowler is already among us, then our plans could be ruined. I guess the Lord thinks it's worth the risk, if we are able to stop whatever conspiracy is at work. At any rate, it's the Lord's call. We will trust his judgment as always. That's in chapter 1-2, in Mendez's house, on the bed in the bedroom. Closure of the church. Regarding the two fugitives, the apprehension of Luis is our top priority. The American agent is a distant second. What Luis stole from us is far more important than the girl. Unless we get it back, the girl will become useless to us. We must get it back to execute our plan till the end. If it gets in the wrong hands, the world would become a totally different place than what Lord Sadler has envisioned. At all costs, we mustn't let that happen. Nevertheless, we are not letting go of the girl to ensure that the agent does not get to her. I have locked the church door where the girl is being held. Anyone who needs access to the church must get approval by Lord Sadler. There's a key beyond the lake, but it should be safe. Now that Del Lago has been awakened by our Lord. No one will get across the lake alive. Plus, our same blood courses through the agent's veins. It'll be just a matter of time before he joins us. Once he does, there will be no one else left that will come looking for that girl. Chapter 1-3, Wooden Bridge. On the table inside the wooden hut, on the bridge beyond the church. Anonymous letter. There's an important item hidden in the falls. If you're able to get it, you might be able to get Ashley out of the church. But I'll warn you, the route to the church isn't just a walk in the park by any means. They're deployed what is called a El Gigante. So God bless. About what's been going on in your body. If I could help, I would, but unfortunately it's beyond my power. Chapter 2-1, Lake. On the bed inside the hut where you wake up after crossing a lake. Now, there's been a bit of speculation about who written that letter. People saying it was like Luis, people saying it's Ada, but I believe it could be Luis written that letter. I'm pretty sure. Plan Manual 3. Commands. Leon can give commands to Ashley to either wait or follow by pressing the R2 button. Ashley and action button. Depending on the situation, Leon and Ashley can cooperate to get past various obstacles. Ashley's health. You can use recovery items not only on Leon but on Ashley as well. Ashley and game over. Leon has failed his mission if Ashley is either killed or carried away by the enemy. That was in chapter 2-1. Church, acquired automatically with your communications with Hunnigan. So once you rescue Ashley and have your talk with Hunnigan, you will get that in your files. Sarah and the third party. The whereabouts of Sarah are still unknown. This is Lewis Sierra, by the way. Most likely he's using a old secret passage taught to him by his grandfather, who used to hunt in this region long ago. I'm pretty certain that he's hiding our property somewhere in the forest. If his grandfather is still alive, I would have used him to find Sierra. But how did he find it? He find out about the egg injected into his own body. Well, being pained is probably why. And the fact that he was able to remove it before it hatched is concerning. So he does know how to remove it, which, again, the anonymous letter couldn't be Luis either. So who the fuck is it? Because in the anonymous letter, it's saying it's beyond his control. So, Another factor that concerns me is that Sarah escaped with our property just before the American agent arrived. I don't believe it was just a coincidence. There has to be another player involved in this. In order to settle this whole situation, we have to capture Sarah and wait for the effects of the drug to wear off before we inject him with another egg. Once this is done, whoever is behind this will surface. Nobody shall interfere with our plans. Those who do shall suffer severe consequences. That's in chapter 2-2. Farm. On the table inside the shed with the typewriter. Yeah, so like when you go to the farm, like first off, this letter is not here, but it's there the second time when it's night. 2 routes. Just a while ago, I was informed by Lord Sadler that our men had shot down a United States military helicopter. There shouldn't be any more outside influence for a while now, unless the United States governments determine who the traitor is. They can only infiltrate a very small convoy operations. We must use this time to our advantage and recapture the girl. The two Americans can get out of our territory by using one of 2 routes. This is where we shall stop them. We shall make use of our forces to the greatest degree. We will deploy a large number of Ganaros in one of the routes to ensure they do not slip by us. For the other route, we shall leave the task to El Gigante. Whichever route they take, the agent will never get out of here alive, not with the girl at least. Well, if you got a rocket launcher on a Chicago typewriter, Infinite, it shouldn't be a problem. Announcing Chapter 2-3, abandoned house clearing inside a small cabin with the typewriter. Also, if they shot down a helicopter, I'm pretty sure it will be captured on the little black box that's in every aircraft. So they'll be deploying like the military out there if something like that happens. Village last defense. I clearly underestimated the Americans' agent's capability. He is still alive. Bloody hell, they must have hit this quick then. I got past the obstacles and they soon found out. I thought that we could await until the egg hatched, but at this rate he could destroy the entire village before it does. We must take care of this nuisance. We shall change our priorities. For the time being, we will cease our hunt for Luis and ambush the 2 Americans. There is a building used to enlighten betrayers just beyond the point where you get off the lift. It is perfect place for ambushing them. If all else fails, that they would still need to face me in order to get past the gate that leads out of the village. For only before my sight will the gate open. That's where you need to defeat Mendez in that building. And once you kill him, you need to kill him in order to get his glass eye, and you use that on the retina scanner on the gate, and it will lead you to the castle area out of the village. That's in Chapter 2-3, gondola inside a toppled over locker in the house with the typewriter. Capture Luis Sera. I have confirmed that Sera has entered the castle. Why would he return during his escape leaves me to question his motives, but we must seize this moment to capture him. We will get the other 2 Americans after we apprehend Sera. It appears that he took some vaccines when he stole our sample. The vaccines we can do without, but we must retrieve the sample, for it is our lifeblood. I feel that there is someone else or some other group involved in this whole affair. If the sample were to get into the hands of that other entity, the world which we seek to create will not come. We must apprehend Sera as quickly as possible. That was in Chapter 3-1, connecting passage on the wall next to the fire-breathing dragon statues. Target practice. Game rules. Receive prizes by scoring above 1000 points. Bonus points will be rewarded for headshots. Game rules continued. A high scoring Salazar target may appear with successful hits. Shooting an Ashley target will deduct points. Prizes. A bottle cap will be rewarded for every 1000 points scored. Special bottle caps will be rewarded by either shooting all the wooden targets except for Ashley or scoring above 3500 points. There are 24 bottle caps in each. In all, each time you enter a new shooting range, 6 new bottle caps will become available. Special bonus. Each time you complete a row on the collector's base, you will earn bonus points. There are a total of 4 rows. You'll have 4 bonus chances. Note, bottle cap collections can be viewed in the keys/treasures screen. That's things like, if you complete a row, you'll get money, and the more rows you complete, and in the more target ranges you do, you'll get like up to 50 grand. Like 50 grand's like your max amount, I think. That's in Chapter 3-1, Target Practice Room. This document will be available in all target practice rooms until it is picked up. Luis's memo. This is a long one. There are some parasites that have the ability to control their hosts. It is basic knowledge among biologists, but not much is known as to how the parasites do it. Studying these parasites specifically may reveal some clues as to how the powers of the Las Plagas work, and perhaps provide insight of the victims of the Las Plagas, the Los Ganados. Here is a list of some parasites that have the ability to manipulate the behavioural patterns in their hosts. I can't read these fucking names. This one, once a larvae of this parasite migrates to an ant's esophagus, it alters the behaviour of the ant. When the temperature drops in the evening, the infected ant climbs to the top of the plant and clamps onto the leaf using its mandible. It stays there immobile until the next morning, placing the ant where it's most vulnerable to be eaten by a browsing herbivore such as a sheep. One could conclude that the parasite is manipulating the host behaviour to make its way into the body of its definite host. That sounds like that weird wasp thing that's a parasite and caterpillars eat it, and like cordyceps sort of thing. Kind of sounds like that. And this one, the calapa something. This larva of the parasite makes its home inside the brain of a fish, such as the yellowtail and the parrot bass. Once infected, the fish makes its way up the water's surface, where they'll swim until eaten by seabirds. Once again, the predictable behaviour can only be explained by the parasite's desire to get into the bodies of seabirds. So in other words, they made a raw parasite. And this one, this parasite's Sporocyclus develops in the snake's tentacles. They are vivid in colour and pulsate continuously, somewhat to like a worm. Surprisingly, the infected snail makes its way to the top of the plant where it's most visible to the eyes of birds. Therefore, it's most likely to be eaten. Once eaten by a bird, the parasite will complete its metamorphosis into an adult. That's in chapter 3.2 in the sewers on the lavatory inside one of the cells. That is actually interesting. That's a good bit of lore on the parasites. Castellan memo. For many years, the Salazar family has served as the castellans in of this castle. However, not everything is bright, for my ancestry has a dark past. Long ago, there was this religious group that had deep roots in this region called Los Alamanas. I can never say that fucking word. Unjustly, however, the first Castellan in the village took away their rights and powers. As a follower of this religion, and as the eighth Castellan, I felt that it was my duty as well as my responsibility to atone for that sin. I knew the best way to atone for that sin was to give my power back to those who once took it away from, the Los Illuminados. As expected, it took a little time, but we was able to rejuvenate the once sealed Las Plagas. With this success, I was one step closer to the revival of Los Illuminados. The reason why I released the Las Plagas from deep under the castle and gave them to Lord Sadler was not only to repay for the sin of my ancestors, but I felt certain that the Lord would make better use of this power to help save the world, to save those that have sinned with the power of the Las Plagas, and to cleanse their souls, creating a world without sinners, the way it was meant to be. Once cleansed, they would become one of the many Ganaros where they would find their reason to live. And after the Lord was successful in creating the world in which he has envisioned, then the sins of the Salazar family will be atoned for. And that's in chapter 3.2, East Gallery, on the table in front of the portrait puzzle. Again, interesting lore. I do love the lore in this game. The Butler's Memo. Knowing that Sir Raymond Salazar has no family, Lord Sadler must have used his strong faith in the Los Illuminados to his advantage to talk Sir Salazar into undoing the seal of the Los Plagas once done by his ancestor. Sir Salazar would never do such thing unless he was in some way being used unknowingly. I should have sensed the Lord's dirty scheme sooner. I feel I'm partly responsible for this. I have no idea as to what the Lord is planning, but Sir Salazar is just being used. It is too late now, however. Sir Salazar has already taken the Plagas into his body. There is no turning back once the Plagas has turned into an adult in the body. The Plaga parasite will not die unless the host dies. There is no cure. Perhaps Sir Salazar may have been vaguely aware of the Lord's plan all along, but it's hard to tell. Nonetheless, there is nothing I can do about it now. I have served the Salazar family for generations. I am prepared to continue my services until the very end. And that was in chapter 3-4. Servants' quarters. On the table next to the plinth where you use the Salazar family insignia. Again, really good lore. I do like it. I mean, I've played this game hundreds of times, so I already know, but it's good to read it again. Sample retrieved. As you may have heard, Lewis Sierra has been disposed of by Lord Sadler. The sample is back where it belongs. We have hoped that whole matter would be resolved without troubling the Lord. However, as long as the sample is safe, we can all rejoice, for our time is nearly at hand. Now that the sample is in our safe hands, it'll be more difficult for that troublesome woman to get hold of it. In light of this, it is unfortunate that Sierra had to go. Like us, he would have been a bright future if only he had shown some faith in our beliefs. As for the two other Americans, the Lord has left the matter in our hands. We must not disappoint our Lord. We shall capture Ashley and take her to the Lord and dispose of this American agent. That's in chapter 4:1, main gallery. On the table in the east wing, next to the door that leads to the hallway with all the suits of armour. Ritual preparation. Thanks to the efforts of the Novistadors, the weird flying and invisible insects, there's two types, we have been able to recapture Ashley. We shall prepare for the sacred ritual as quickly as possible and make Ashley an official member of the Los Illuminados. While we prepare for the ritual, those who feel inclined can attend to our American friend. We should be able to hold off our friend for at least a little while by jamming the gears in the clock tower with something. I think if we jam the gears in 3 places, that should give us enough time to prepare for everything for the ritual. Now go and entertain our American tourist. And that's in chapter 4:1, tower on the table on the 3rd floor. Luis's Memo 2. The first Castellan buried the Las Plagas deep underground below the castle to hide their very essence. But when Salazar released the Las Plagas, no one thought he could bring them back to life, because when Salazar found them, they were just fossilized remains. That's the ones that you find in the mines area. You actually find the fossils. And anyone knew that the parasitic organisms could not survive without their hosts. That they wouldn't sustain life on their own. But when Salazar and his men excavated the remains, it almost appeared as if the Las Plagas was waiting to be discovered so they could resurrect. Several years later, unexplainable convulsions started occurring among the villagers, who helped with the excavation of the Las Plagas. Then one day, all of a sudden, those villagers turned into violent savages. They later found out it was caused by Las Plagas. Although they appeared fossilized, they was able to survive a long years by lying in a dormant state at a cellular level, remaining in a spore-like form. Apparently, during the excavation, the villagers inhaled the spores, and within their bodies, the parasites became active again. This is how the Las Plagas were resurrected. Even as I'm writing, the excavation of the Las Plagas continues. So this must have been written a good few weeks before the incident happened. God only knows how many of these plagas has been resurrected, not to mention the countless number of Ganaros that has been created. Their inhumane activity must be put to an end. If they are not stopped, people around the world could turn into victims of this crazy cult organization. So if you see a fossil, don't breathe. Chapter 4.2 Mine Entrance. On the sandbags next to the typewriter. Letter from Ada. Once a plaga egg hatches, it's nearly impossible to remove it from the body, but if it's before it hatches, then it can be neutralized by medication. If it does hatch, you might be able to get it out by surgery before it turns into an adult, but it won't be easy. There's a high chance you will not survive the operation. As far as I know, the girl was injected with the egg before you. Her time is ticking, and you should prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. That's in chapter 4.3. Ruins on the wall next to a small shed with the typewriter and merchant inside. Female intruder. There seems to be a female intruder among us. We believe she's connected with Sarah. Oh, now they mention her, because they didn't know if there was a third party involved. Because, like I said, Ada is the third party, but they had absolutely no idea if it was true or not. We also believe that she was the one who removed the egg injected into Sarah before it hatched. She may have had him retrieve the sample before the American agent's arrival. It's obvious that her objective is the sample. We must get to her before she is able to re-establish contact with Sarah. There is also reason to believe that she's working with somebody. We need her alive for an interrogation. Yeah, working for Wesker. The female should be able to answer all of our questions. After we captured her, Sarah will no longer be any of our concern. As long as we retrieve the sample, you may dispose of him as you see fit. That's in chapter 3.3, bedroom on the bed. Luis's Memo 3. The hideous creatures, such as the El Gigante and the Visitadors, are merely byproducts of the diabolical and inhumane experiments conducted on the specimens that were once human. But there is one type of creature that clearly distinguishes itself from the rest. These creatures are called regenerators. Regenerators have a superior metabolism that allows them to regenerate their lost body parts at an incredible speed. I've never seen anything like it. It is this characteristic that makes them almost invincible to conventional weapons. But like any living creature, there is a way to kill it. Apparently, there are Las Plagas living in its body, somehow like leeches. It can't be seen with the naked eye. It can only be located through thermal imaging. thought I heard something. That was weird. To stop its regeneration process, these leech-like plagues must be located and destroyed. As far as I know, most of the regenerators host a number of leech-like parasites, plagues. To kill the regenerators, each one of these leech-like plagues must be killed. In other words, you got a rifle, you will find a thermal scope in the lab for the bolt-action rifle. But if you got a semi-automatic rifle, you need to buy that version of the scope from the merchant. Just shoot it and shoot the red areas of the regenerators. Sometimes they'll have it on their back to shoot their legs out, and they'll crawl around on the floor and quickly pick it off. And that was in 5-1, operating theatre on the stretcher next to the operating table. Lewis knows a lot, by the way. He is a scientist, so kind of expect it. Paper airplane. Perhaps you have figured it out already, but you might be able to get out of here by using the waste disposal unit event. That's in chapter 5.2, storage room on the floor, after it flies through the window. That's when you get Ashley back. The cutscene, you'll see it. Our plan. Because of that agent, we lost Keith Mendes and Raymond. Nonetheless, everything will proceed according to plan. I must admit, however, the loss of my loyal men is a bit disheartening, but I will deal with it. Replacing that loss will not come easy. I must choose wisely, for the plague reflects on the constants of their hosts. If properly chosen, they could betray me. If chosen poorly. I need men who will swear their allegiance to me. I have learnt my lesson when Sarah betrayed me. I will not make the same mistake again. In this important hour, I cannot and will not have anyone standing in my way. Chapter 5.3, Boiler Room. On the table next to the candlesticks at the top of the entrance stairs. Luis's memo 4. Like I said, he writes a lot, this boy. I'll report my findings about the plagues here. Plagues have 3 distinctive characteristics. 1. As mentioned previously, the plagues have the ability to manipulate the behavioural patterns of their hosts. 2. The plagues are social organisms. By this I mean that instead of living individually, they live in perfect social harmony. It is believed that they have a collective intelligence. In other words, sometimes there's like mini plagues in something, like bigger enemies. This type of behaviour can be seen among insects such as bees and ants. However, this kind of social behaviour is rarely seen among parasitic organisms. Perhaps it is learnt behaviour by the plagues. I'm finding out if this is any relationship to their first characteristics. 3. The plagues have exceptional adaptation skills. They are able to live of many kinds of organisms by creating a symbolic environment quickly. This ability, when combined with their social behaviours, allows them to interact intelligently between hosts, regardless of the host organism. I am ashamed to admit that my pure fascination with the plagues, in hindsight, has blinded me to the true research objectives of the Los Illuminados. Even with this knowledge that Sadler is going to abuse the results of these experiments, I could not pull myself away from my research. As a result, I'm just as responsible for this whole mess as he is. I see now that I was wrong, but I can't stop their evil plans alone. Needs Leon, in other words. That's in chapter 5.3, cave entrance on the boxes next to the merchant. Krauser's note. It turns out that the old man Sadler wasn't buying me from the start. Even though I succeeded in kidnapping Ashley, I sort of sensed this when Sadler didn't completely let me into the loop. Under these circumstances, I had no other alternative but to call her for assistance. Perhaps she knows this was the way it was going to turn out all along. My guess is that her ultimate goal might be different from Vesca's and mine. Well, technically it was. This is just a perfect opportunity to find out. After I get rid of Leon and retrieve the sample, I'll put her in a body bag along with Leon and send them both to Vesca. That's the thing, is like, yes, Ada was working for Vesca, but she did get the sample in the end of the game. Spoiler, but everyone knows. But she didn't send it to Vesca. She sent it to another company. No one knows who it is though, because like, she's working alone. She pretends to work for people, but she's working for herself and whoever is the highest bidder. So we do not know 100% where that sample was. And that was in chapter 5.3 on the passage to the Sand Fortress on the table next to the merchant. Lewis's memo 5. It's the last one. From the initial stages of research, we have been searching for a safer and practical removal procedure of the Plagas. Ironically, it turns out that the real objective of this research was not to find a way to remove the Plagas from the infected persons, but to find a way so that the Plagas could not be removed from the body easily. In the end, we was able to find out that the Plagas can be removed only by exposing them to special radiation. The only drawback with this method is that it's an extremely painful procedure. Since the Plagas attaches itself to the nerves, it is possibly that it may impair the consciousness of the host. Another fact that must be mentioned, that once the Plagas grows into an adult, the removal procedure could kill the host. But perhaps death isn't so bad when you think about the alternative. Also, like radiation, couldn't you like try radiotherapy as well, or chemotherapy? But chemo's not radiation, is it? Radiotherapy might work, might not. It really depends. But the one in the game is more like high concentrated. Yeah, like it's like a laser, like directly on the area where the parasite is on the body. So yes, probably. But mind you, that's radiotherapy as well. Yeah. Chapter 5.4 Security Ring. Sitting on the rocks just above from where the merchant is standing. And the last one, our mission. The real power of the United States lays in 3 areas: the Justice Department, the administrative bodies, and the military. In order to control these areas, we must influence the minds of the people who advise the President. After this is done, the rest of the departments will quickly fall under our sway. If by chance the United States were to figure out our plans, the damage caused should be minimal. We will still be able to conquer the country as planned, using our backup plan. Once we control the country, we will use their international influence to our advantage. The rest of the world will fall swiftly. As already stated, if our plan doesn't go as smoothly as expected, we will proceed with our secondary plan. By sending our special forces, we will infiltrate the country from within. Fear and chaos will spread throughout the nation like a virus. It is only a matter of time before the country loses its stability. At this time, when they are most vulnerable, we will strike. Rejoice, my brethren, the well shall soon be cleansed. That was in the final chapter. Construction site access on the table next to the lift. That was all the files in OG Resident Evil 4. It was an interesting read, as I do enjoy the lore in Resident Evil 4. It's really good to actually read and learn about as well. And it's weird, like what would actually happen, like how would it go if the Los Illuminati, the cultists, succeeded in their plans and took over America, then they take over other countries and take over the world, sort of thing, as religious nightclubs do. But yeah, it would be nuts if that would happen. But luckily it didn't. So that was it for the Resident Evil 4 file readings. The next ones will be next week, next Tuesday. And it will be of Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's longer game, so it'll have longer, like more files and everything in there. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.